This isn't your typical barbecue story. It didn't start in the back of a brisket-filled Texas pit house or in some whole hog haven in the Carolinas. It started in a coal mine.
Yeah, my dad was a coal miner, my uncles, my brother, like everybody in my family's been a coal miner. Starting a barbecue company was never something that was kind of in the plan for my life, you know.
I'm on a journey to become the best cook that I can be. And on that journey, I get to go to some truly amazing places. Texas, New York City, Miami, Florida, Chicago, California, even Toronto, Canada. And some I would have never thought in a million years would change the way I think about food.
Around here we got three types of places to eat. You got fast food, buffets, and fast food.
Could this coal miner turned pitmaster from Eastern Kentucky, who never even tried brisket till he was well into his 30s, really change the way I think about barbecue? We're about to find out. Just an hour east of the horse capital of the world, in the heart of what used to be coal country, Sean Thatcher is attempting to revitalize his community one brisket at a time.
So, you know, in Eastern Kentucky, there wasn't really like a barbecue culture here. We ate at grandma's house, or mom cooked us dinner or whatever. So food was an afterthought, you know, really. I mean, you ate your leftovers for your lunch and that was it. And to go out and eat dinner, you know, was a big deal. You know, we traveled, you know, we'd go an hour and a half away to go to a place where there was a nice sit-down place to eat. You know, you either worked in the mines or you supplied tooling for the mines. That's what our jobs were here. That's all there was. And it was either restaurants were, you know, not even a thought. It was just a place to stop on your way to work or something. You know, it was like a gas station food and stuff like that.
Fortunately, the economy kind of shifted. The coal went away.
Our hometown is a very impoverished area, and you can only do so much there.
Yeah, Breathitt County is impoverished. I live there.
So when the mines closed down, like the rug got pulled out from underneath of our community here, and because everybody relied on those jobs. Around here, like if you don't work for the city, for the state, for the county, or in the medical profession, something like that, there's really no jobs here. So with like the collapse of the coal industry, we've had to shift gears here in Eastern Kentucky. So I've been a welder. I learned to weld when I was 8 years old, and I've been welding most of my life and opened up a little welding business. One day a friend of mine come in, hey, can you build me a smoker? And I was like, well, yeah, I can. And so he brought me a bunch of stuff and tanks and things his little small smokers, all he wanted, a little backyard thing. And I started building it, and I was like, well, heck, I might as well build myself one too, because I was kind of interested in learning how to, you know, kind of maybe doing that too. So I built myself one along with his, and just kind of went from there, you know. When I started doing smoking meat and stuff, I just felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I just felt like it was what I was meant to be doing, and I never felt that way about anything. Like I've always loved welding and always loved all that kind of stuff and making stuff out of metal. But when I started doing this, it was just like it just consumed me. And I never had anything just consume me like that before, you know, and I want to learn everything there was to learn about it. I just tried to learn what I liked about different styles, and I just tried to create my own thing, because there is no Eastern Kentucky set barbecue. Like in Carolina, like it's got to be, you know, done this certain way and these certain spices and these certain controls on. In Texas, it's only got to be, you know, it's got to be done on an offset smoker. It has to be done on post oak. You know, we don't have post oak here. Like it's not something I can get here, you know. So I'm trying to create something that's unique to this area. And so when people come here, they can say, I had some good East Kentucky barbecue. Hey Al, how's it going, buddy?
Hey Sean, good morning.
Good to finally see you.
Good to see you.
Absolutely. So we're getting ready to make a tray for the day. Let me take you on a little tour while we get that ready.
Sounds great.
Awesome, good deal.
Eastern Kentucky barbecue, not really a thing. I didn't know what to expect when I walked in. But what I didn't expect was a melting pot of different styles of barbecue.
Your restaurant offerings are mostly all fast food. There's a couple of mom and pop joints, but outside of that, you've got your typical Mexican joint, your typical Chinese joint or Asian joint, etc., etc. Bringing the barbecue in, I imagine, was quite difficult just because it's expensive.
If you're really going to teach me this,
I'm gonna teach you.
this is going to be a new
We
staple
might
in my-
upset a few people because it varies from the way traditionally it's done. But
this isn't Western Kentucky. We're Eastern
This
Kentucky.
is Eastern Kentucky. This is my style, Thatcher style, East Kentucky style, however you want to call it.
All right. Thank you so much for agreeing to teach me. I can't wait. Should we go get started?
Absolutely, let's do it.
I love the brisket. That's my favorite. I can just come and get a pound of brisket.
Brisket, always brisket.
Brisket's my favorite.
I do it a little bit differently. Like everybody squares the briskets up before they cook them.
Right.
You get your burn ends from the ends and the
Right.
sides and the back and the mohawk.
Right.
That's where you cut your burn ends from. So why do you cut all that stuff off first? So I don't.
Where are we
so
starting?
What I start first is the decal. I take
Okay.
this part out. I do remove this completely. I'll just basically just make like a little half moon. See how you can see the red meat right there?
Yep.
And then I'll just take my knife and run, just follow that. You can feel it. Just follow that right along.
Okay. So you're pulling the whole
You
decal
pull that
out.
whole decal
Okay.
out. A lot of briskets have a gristle.
Right.
It's a little bit, I don't know what it is, but it starts here and it runs all the way down the edge on this one. Even though this is looks like a big hunk of meat, that's
Yeah,
not something
that's
that
not
you,
point, so
right,
you're gonna
that's
pull
not
it off.
point. So I will come in
Okay.
here and I'll cut straight down
Okay.
and just cut right up the side of it, all the way down the brisket. So now, here's what I do with these, when they go down the side of these things. Now, I used to not do this, but this is how I started doing them. But I'll just, wherever the edge of that fat is right there, just sink her down. Trim it all the
taking
way
that
back.
all off.
Trim it all the way back.
Okay. So normally I would be pulling the mohawk, but you
Right.
said earlier
Well, all I do,
we're not doing that.
we're not pulling the mohawk. So I just come in here and I find the top of it.
So you're just going to take the fat off,
just
but
take the
leave the
fat-
meat
just- yeah.
exposed. Okay.
Just take the fat off and leave the meat exposed. Every brisket will have a big hunk of fat right here.
Here, go ahead.
See, like this, you always want to come in here and take that big hunk of fat out as well, just like that,
Right.
you know.
So talk to me about this corner down here. So this is meat's super thin. Now I
That-
would normally trim that
you
down.
would, yeah, go ahead, you can trim that down. You want at least 3/4 of an inch of meat. So you would trim it back to at least to that point.
All right. I think the biggest difference here is we left the mohawk on
Yeah.
and we took the decal out. Pork time.
Pork time,
Okay.
absolutely. But there again, just like when I cut that big fat piece off of the brisket, I trim quite a bit of the fat off of these pork butts so they don't go out to our customers a big handful of fat.
That makes me sad.
It does me too. It does me too. These are a bone-in
course.
pork shoulders, or
Right.
Boston butts, technically. Now, there is one little spot on these that I will recommend people trim. This little hard spot right here, that's not something you're going to want to eat, the little piece of gristle. I know this is the money muscle part. You don't want to take
Right,
a bunch
don't
of
take
meat
the-
off of there, but that's where that little piece of gristle is, right above that. So you just want to take that little bit off, because you're not
Good.
going to ever be able to cook that down enough where you can chew that.
Right.
So I usually start on the bottom. I start with that little piece right there,
Right.
and sometimes, like I say, they'll have these little,
Right. Get a
these
little bit of this stuff
little
in
bit of
here,
this
right?
stuff in here, and you just take it off on the top. Now I don't take off much. I take this little,
Just the
this
thick
this
stuff.
little thick, this real super thick piece,
Okay.
and then just maybe just a smidge off the top. Now these two pork butts here aren't bad.
Yeah.
There's some, just like a brisket, will have
Right.
2 inches of fat on top of it. You
Right.
obviously,
Well,
yeah.
that's different. But,
So,
all right. It's
and there again, these two pork butts right here.
right.
If I was cooking this at home for me,
Right.
I wouldn't be doing this.
All right. I'm gonna make myself at home with this.
Good deal. Chicken time.
Okay.
All right. So I do these a little weird. I actually cut the drums and the wings off,
Okay.
and I put them inside it. So it started one day. So we couldn't get chicken wings. Like our suppliers couldn't get them. It was during
Right.
COVID. Like we couldn't get chicken wings, and we always had a chicken wing night every Friday night. It was
Right.
chicken wing night.
Right.
So I started taking the wings and the drums off. Well, we started being able to get chicken wings in, and one day I just cut up. I was in habit of doing it, and I just cut the chicken wings off, and I had 100 chicken wings laying there, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And I
Right.
said, screw it. They're still chicken.
So you stuffed it.
Put them inside it and sent it and put it on the smoker and smoked them. What happens is they don't burn. You can still actually use the meat. I know it's weird, but I just kept doing it.
Okay,
and
look,
that's how I do it.
You're the professional, so if this is how you do it, all right.
So I start on and I always, when we cook them, I always cook them breast down.
Right.
Because if this burns and you dry this out, nobody's eating the backbone.
So we're going to trim it breast up, but we're going to...
Well, we'll trim it both ways, but I was just mentioning that, you know, when you take them to the smoker, I always cook them breast down. So I always cut this little piece of gristle off right there.
Okay.
I would just cut, just grab it, and you can just cut through it, and then.
So how far in are you going?
I go all the way through, just to.
So you're just taking
a little quarter of an inch of that little nub on the end right there. And then stick your finger in there, and I come around like this. Same thing on the other side, and I cut the tail off.
Okay.
I cut the little nubs, cut the little wingettes off.
Okay.
And now this stuff we use for making
go in stock.
Different, you know, all kinds of good stuff. Flip it back over, and I take the whole drum and wing at the same time.
Okay.
And jam them right back in there, season them, and put them on the smoker.
I mean, okay.
It's different. It is different. But just think about it. Like that's not going to get burned in there. That's not going. You're not going to waste these, no matter if you do screw up and overcook it a little bit. The wings are still going to be okay. All this gets pulled. The wings get pulled, everything, all of it gets pulled.
The wings get pulled too,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
As I stand here in this successful restaurant kitchen with this man who serves thousands of people barbecue, teaching me his ways, it's never lost on me that 20 years ago, barbecue wasn't even a thought. That this is a man who worked in a coal mine, long hours, in the worst grueling conditions.
The mine supplied everything. There's towns in eastern Kentucky that the mine owned the town. And they paid the men in what's called scrip. It wasn't cash money that they would pay people. They would give them a token or a piece of paper. And so they would go to the general store or the company store and spend their money there. So they were just stuck there and they were trapped. And that's kind of how they kept their workers. Like they get them in debt to the company. And whole families would live that way. Like the father would work, the sons would work. They'd grow up, have kids, and their sons would work in the mines. It was all got paid with that script.
Super secret formula.
It has been till now.
Okay.
So it's only got 3 ingredients in it: salt, pepper, garlic. Coarse ground black pepper.
Right.
I get it in a big 25-pound bag, so I would assume it's 16 mesh, but it's just coarse ground black pepper.
Okay.
Salt, same way. It's only Diamond Crystal kosher salt. Don't use any other brand.
So no
kosher
Morton's.
salt.
We're using Diamond Crystal.
I use Diamond Crystal, and then granulated garlic.
Right, not garlic powder.
Not garlic powder.
Granulated
garlic.
So you're going to show us the proportions.
Yes.
All right.
1 part coarse ground black pepper.
Okay.
So we'll pour it in here. And the reason I'm pouring it here is we're going to end up putting it back in here mixed up together.
Mixed up together. Okay.
So and half kosher salt. So it's 2 to 1.
2 to 1.
2 to 1 on the salt. It's half a container.
About half a container, okay.
And then a quarter
black pepper of garlic.
So if you're doing it in cups, it'll be a cup of black pepper, a half a cup of salt, a quarter cup of garlic.
Okay, so there's no seasoned salt. There's no.
Not in it. And I do put seasoned salt on the chicken.
Okay.
Pour it right in there and just mix it up.
Binder.
No binder.
No binder. No water. No nothing.
No water.
We're just
no binder.
Going straight on.
This is good and tacky.
So do we do meat side first, or?
I do meat side first. Yes.
Okay. So you're getting a good heavy coat on there. All right. This is definitely a different technique than I've seen before. First of all, it's a heavier coat, much heavier coat.
And you don't sit and rub it in. I just pat it in like that.
I like this pepper heavy method that you're using. So you don't give it time, you just
flip it right on
flip
over.
it and go.
Flip it and go. The same thing here.
We got 98 more briskets to do for service this weekend. So
I just go up the edge. You go the edges first. I don't know why I do it. I wasn't taught any of this stuff. I just kind of do it my way and how it seems to work best for me.
But I like this really thorough coverage. Yeah. I mean, it explains a lot of that bark.
And we're not shooting for that. That tech. This is not trying to be a Texas brisket.
Right.
So this is kind of a in between of a Western Kentucky style brisket with Texas kind of roots too, you know, because I love Texas brisket. But everybody's not going to like that real hard, heavy bark around here in our area. You got, like I say there again, I got to cook where I'm at. Now, if I was in Texas, I'm going to make that bark real heavy, real dark, real black, real thick. That's what you're shooting for. And I'm just trying to do something just a little bit different to kind of make it a little more palatable to people that aren't used to that style.
All right, Eastern Kentucky briskets.
There you go.
So same seasoning as we use for the brisket.
Same seasoning as the brisket.
Meat side first again?
Meat side first. Just go around. I always just go around the edges first. I think some people take a lot of this stuff way too seriously and trying to get it to, you know, barbecue's should be fun, you know. It shouldn't be taking it way too serious. And there again, I don't do any kind of binder, any kind of anything like that. Just because the meat's going to sweat and be perfect as it is.
So awesome. This is it, like
this is
easy trim,
easy
season.
trim, right on the smoker.
Go put them on the smoker?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
So, onto the seasoning.
Okay.
We're going same seasoning we use for the brisket. All we add to it is a quarter of Lowry's seasoning salt.
Lowry's seasoning, okay.
Yeah. This has got good, this stuff tastes great.
Yeah, it's going to add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of color.
But that's it. Just put them on the smoker.
All right, but we're not just doing 2.
No, we're going to do a dozen. Because I've got a little catering job to do, so we'll do that as well, and we can. All right. Yeah.
So I could offer to help, but I know that I will slow you down, so I'm gonna get out of the way and let you do the other 10.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
This restaurant is clean, it's beautiful, it's modern, it's a work of love. It's a stark contrast from the community around it that just a few years ago was devastated, and not just by the failure of the coal mines.
So our community has been through a lot. You know, we've had, here in the last few years, we've had catastrophic flooding, and we've lost thousands of homes, and a lot of our people are leaving here. You know, and because there's no jobs, and it's just a hard place to live. You know, you got to love it to be here. Like, you have to love this area. It's not an easy place to survive here, and that's what we do here. We survive here. You know, that's what we've always done. We've always survived here. We've lived in these mountains and made a home for ourselves here for hundreds of years, and this is where we want to be, and this is where I want to be.
I don't get it. Where's the firebox?
Well, the firebox is actually inside the smoker, so there's a wall welded in here, and all the heat and smoke comes up over the top. So there's firewall right there.
All right, so we're not cooking on a Suntex or a Millscale
we're
or
not.
M&M.
This smoker, I legit dug this tank out of a hill. It was buried about 3/4 of the way with dirt. It used to be an old oil tank. So this one's yours here. You want to stick her on? Put her on there.
So point end towards
point
the fire?
Point end toward the fire, yep.
All right. Middle, or you want me to close to the wall?
That'd be fine right there.
All right.
All right. In about 14 hours.
So we're gonna let them smoke.
Let them smoke. That size brisket right there will be on here for no less than 10 to 12 hours.
So I tend to go thicker side towards the fire.
I always put the bone side.
Okay.
I put
so you put the bone forward.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't, instead of sticking a thermometer in that thing, when that bone pulls apart, you know it's getting close, and that's kind of my barometer visual barometer of where it's at, you know. And this one's bigger, so this one's obviously going to take a little bit longer.
Now with that baffle up there, you're still getting smoke rolling down here.
Yeah, when we put those chickens on here, they'll start turning brown and getting good mahogany color on them within a couple hours. And you wouldn't think that, you'd think that'd block all the smoke, but it doesn't. Like, it just flows right down and right across.
Okay. Speaking of chicken.
Yeah, let's do some chicken. Breast down, head toward the fire like this.
Like this.
Yep.
Load these up. Close to the firebox.
Close to the firebox, yep.
Okay.
I do it like this so they don't fall out.
All right.
But this is how I do it. I just get them by the feet or by the legs and just lay them right in there.
All right, so we're cooking at like 275, 285, warmer towards the fire,
yes.
A little cooler where the brisket is and where the pork shoulders are.
Yep.
So how long are the chickens going to take at that 275, 285?
Probably 2.5 to 3 hours-ish, something like that. Maybe, you know, so what we'll run it up 275 to 285, maybe even get close to 300 until the chickens are done.
Okay.
And what that'll do, that'll also help the bark set on the brisket. on the pork and help that bark set a little bit too. And then once we pull the chickens off in a couple hours, we'll let that heat come back down to that 265 range, so to finish the pork and the brisket off at 265, 270 range.
So what will we do to the chickens in the meantime? Are we gonna touch them, or they're just gonna go for a couple hours?
Just gonna go for a couple hours, and we'll check them, just check internal temperature on them, because that's the one thing you kind of got to be careful with chicken, and is just make sure it's at least cooked into 165. If they're there, I'll let them go about 10 degrees more, go like 175-ish, and I will pull them, let them cool to a little, so you can start pulling them, and then send them in for service.
The irony isn't lost on me that I am here as part of my journey to become a better cook, getting Sean Thatcher to teach me, when that's exactly how Sean Thatcher learned to master barbecue.
So I started traveling around when I could. I'd go to the Carolinas, and I'd go to St. Louis, and I'd go to Kansas City, and go to Texas, go to all the hubs of these barbecue meccas, and just try their food. I just tried to learn what I liked about different styles, and I just tried to create my own thing out of all these influences of all this other stuff into what I'm doing. But I'm not trying to create Texas. And I'm not trying to create Western Kentucky. I'm not trying to create anything else. I'm trying to create something that's unique to this area. So when people come here, they can say, I had some good East Kentucky barbecue.
It's starting to look like barbecue.
Starting to look like barbecue a little bit, isn't it?
So we got a few hours in on the briskets. They're starting to take shape and color. Pork shoulders are looking good, getting color. And now we've got, what, an hour and change on the chickens now?
An hour and change on the chickens. Let me see where they're at. They're about 136, so that's perfect where we want them at. I mean, they're not done yet, but that's from the time,
half hour or so to go.
Half hour, 45 minutes.
And then I see some new additions here.
We got a little small catering job. They've ordered some ribs, so I've got some ribs on here, and you can kind of see they're looking pretty good.
They are looking good.
So I'm gonna flip them over, cook them on the bottom side just a little bit. I'm gonna move them back.
So we'll come back when these are ready.
We'll come back in about I'll check them back again in about an hour. Let's get after that burgoo. These three things, and the meat. So here's brisket, just leftover pieces of brisket.
So it looks like about 2 cups of meat.
It should be a pound.
Probably about a pound.
Yeah, it should be a pound of pork. I mean, a pound of brisket, a pound of pork, and a pound of chicken. That's for this recipe. For this recipe, that's what we're doing. Next ingredient is corn, minced garlic. This is the stuff you buy in the jar already cut up. This is probably one that's going to kill the people in Owensboro. Black beans.
I mean, I don't put it in chili.
No, there's no. I'm gonna die on that hill. There's no beans in chili.
But there are beans in Eastern Kentucky burgoo.
There is in this burgoo. So tomato paste.
Okay.
This is a
looks like.
Yeah, a cup. So this is a beef base.
Okay.
You could use beef broth.
Right.
Or, if you wanted to do that. And this is a chicken base. Same.
Okay.
Same stuff. A little bit of butter. So this is the seasoning that goes in it.
Can you tell me the ratios, or is that a secret?
It's not a secret. Hold on.
Okay.
I can tell you actually. I'll tell you this. There's the recipe. If you want to pause real quick. But it's 3 tablespoons of the brisket rub, 1 tablespoon of celery seed, and 2 tablespoons of red pepper flakes. And I put beef tallow in it to start with. I don't put the butter in till later on to keep it from brown. I don't want this to brown. It's just flavor.
Just flavor. Just adding some fat.
Adding some fat to it. So this is L8. This is made in Winchester, Kentucky. It's a ginger, drink.
So I can't get this in North Carolina, but I got to recreate this.
Yes.
So I need to stop and...
That or call me and I'll send you some.
All right. So all this goes out to the smoker now.
Absolutely. All this goes out to the smoker.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So Al, we're going to start putting the pot on here. It's a 22-quart pot.
Big old tray of tallow.
Big old tray of beef tallow. Just a good little scoop.
Okay.
However much that is. So
we're just using it as fat to saute in.
Yeah, just fat to saute in. We'll get it in there, get it going. We'll let that melt down just a little bit.
All right, so potatoes go in first?
Potatoes take the longest to cook, so we'll throw them in first. And I'm not trying to get color on them. I'm just trying to get a head start on, we're just trying to soften them up a little bit to make it, to take as long for it to cook. Let's do celery and carrots.
Celery and carrots first, all right.
There's some more carrots and onions.
There's an awful lot of vegetables in this pot for no meat yet.
It is. But we'll get there. We will get there. Like so you can see, they're starting to get sweating down a little bit, starting to get a little, get a little bit softened up. The corn.
Right.
And we'll go ahead and throw in the garlic. Go put the butter in.
Right.
It's a beef base.
All right.
And the chicken base. So let's put the tomato paste in. So this is
about a half gallon.
2 quarts,
Yep.
2 liters-ish.
Okay.
We'll just put about half this in there right now. Let's put about half
So
in.
put about a quart in.
Yep.
Okay.
Close enough. So like I say, we're just gonna try to get it to start, turning into something here. Start steaming a little bit.
So we got a pound of chicken.
That's smoked chicken.
Some pork. I'll break that apart a little bit.
Absolutely. It'll all loosen up in here. There
Little
goes the good
brisket.
stuff.
All right. Now it's barbecue.
Now.
All right.
All right.
So what if I wanted to use more meat as a ratio?
You use.
That's okay?
Absolutely.
Another quart of water.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's the seasoning that's
there's
going
our
in.
seasoning. All right.
Stir that in a little bit. It's L8. So I'm gonna add some more water to it. We might add another L8 to it. It's like I say, we're just, let's add a little more water to it. So you just want to cover the meat. And,
Okay.
you're not trying to make a soup. You want to give it enough water that it'll boil down until everything softens up, till your potatoes start to soften up, and then once that happens, then you can start kind of smashing the potatoes.
That'll probably thicken it up too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. See, the spoon don't stand
It's
up.
not time yet.
The spoon don't stand up by itself. When it's done, you'll go. It'll stand up. It'll just stand there by itself.
Is that anywhere in Kentucky thing, or is
as
that
far,
just
as
an
far
Eastern?
as I understand, that's anywhere in Kentucky. When the spoon stands up in the burgoo, it's ready to go.
time.
It's ready to go. So.
All right. In a community like this is sucker punched the way that this one has been. One of two things happens. Either people give up and the town disappears, or they rise up and they come together and they build businesses and they support each other and they find a way to emerge like a phoenix from the ashes.
At first, we thought we would get a food truck and started buying things for the food truck. Then a small little building opened in our hometown and we cashed in everything we had and rolled the dice.
We opened up our first little place. We made donuts because in our town, in Jackson, we had no donut shop and no coffee shop, no place, nothing like that at all. So we did donuts and coffee and breakfast sandwiches. So then we transitioned into making lunches. Started doing daily sandwiches, and we'd slice our meat and do everything from hand, and started making soups and sandwiches and things like that. There again, it was not something that wasn't available where we were, and then we always knew the barbecue was coming in. Took us 2 months. We worked 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. If you're lucky, that's all you work, So when COVID happened, everybody's trying to get you to close down and this stuff like that. We went to only doing barbecue, only doing dinner. So we shut the donut stuff off. We shut the lunch stuff off. It was only dinner, and because we were just trying to stay open. We were just trying to stay afloat. We could have lost it all right there, But luckily, our community they'd be knocking on the door, wanting us, and obviously we had to take food out to them. They couldn't come in the restaurant, but they supported us through that. They really did. Like they came together, and then they supported a lot of local restaurants like that. There's only a handful, like a couple little local restaurants around that area. But now transition to Slade during that time. Like everybody was getting out of these cities and they were all coming here. And these businesses down here boomed. Like they went through the roof because everybody's getting away from the cities or out here in the mountains and the hills. And I started like, man, we need to get down there. So we opened this location up right in the middle of COVID, right in the middle of all this. We came down here and kind of did a little light remodel of the place and put some new equipment in the kitchen and fired up, and been hard as we can go ever since. And the Jackson location just kind of, we couldn't keep employees. At that point, like everybody's wanting to stay home. Like nobody, you just couldn't get people to come out. If they had a sniffle, they're staying home, So we just decided to just close that place down and move everything down here.
2.5 hours in.
Yep.
Spoon's not going to stand up in
Not
that
yet. No,
right?
not yet. No, it's still pretty juicy at the moment. You know.
Okay.
See.
So, time to add the beans?
Time to add the black beans, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how good we can capture this, but what we're trying to do is, so there's a potato, and we're just trying to smash it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll get some of that starch out.
Get some of that. See, there's another big. We'll just. You're just trying to get them to where they're soft. You don't want them to. That's all you want them to do. You don't want them to be like mush. You
Right.
know?
So the camera's rolling now.
Okay.
You told me yesterday that when I come back next year, you will teach me how to make your grandmother's fried chicken. Were you drinking?
No, I wasn't drinking.
Okay.
My grandmother showed me that when I was a teenager, and I
Still
was
the best fried chicken you've ever had.
Still the best fried. My grandmother's fried chicken is the best fried chicken I've ever had.
And you've never shared the recipe
I've never
with anybody.
shared it with anyone.
But if we want to know how to make grandma's fried chicken, you will teach us?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I will show you.
Because I'll be back here next year. All right, is our spoon standing up yet?
Let's check it and see. There it is.
There it is. All right, it's showtime.
All right.
Briskets are starting to look like briskets now.
Yeah, that's right. It's about 169, 170. That's kind of
All
right
right,
where
so
I'm.
you're good.
Kind of right where I'm wanting them at. And there again, you see like the little wings. Like you don't get a bunch of smoke on them.
So are those ready to come off?
They're ready to come off.
One chicky licky. All right, there you go.
Gotcha. Since we've got the chicken off now, I'm going to let the heat on the smoker come down a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and move everything up a little bit. That way I can get all the fat start rendering. And
Okay.
like I said, it's getting good color on it. Like the color's looking great,
Yeah,
right where it
we've
should
got-
be. As you can see, it's starting to pull a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I can almost taste the burnt ends.
yeah, see, so we take this
I've
inside.
never cooked a brisket with a
and
mohawk
see, but look,
on it.
but look, I mean, it's still juicy. It's not burnt. You know, but like I say, there's one thing about this smoker. It's like this, where it comes over the top. It's not getting a bunch of smoke on the bottom side of the brisket. And that is one thing that's, I won't say it's a defect of this style smoker, but you know, you're not going to get that hard bottom on them either. You know, so
Right.
I mean, look at it. I mean, they look phenomenal.
It does look.
I mean, they look great, but you can see like they don't get a ton of smoke. But this has still
Right.
got a long way to go. Like,
Yeah.
so
I imagine it'll darken up.
it will definitely darken up. So there we go.
All right.
All right. So we have a lot of cool stuff going on around here, especially here in the gorge. You know, we got the Fat Cave over here. They do record music, have a record store. If you so any kind of musical or videography, things like that.
It's amazing that they opened up the live venue, the Pit House, which happens to be in the same building as Fat Cave Studios. They started opening the Pit House and having live music there.
Any music event or you know, car rally or anything of that such, they're always involved in the sponsorships. And it's not so much for a name on a banner, it's these people are doing great things for their communities. They want to be involved in helping that grow. And that's exactly what carried in over here to the Pit House with the music scene, like you see right behind me. On a scale of 1 to 10, his guitar playing, solid 6, 6.5. You know, my man can strum and pick. His singing, he'll disagree, he's super humble about it, but Sean is actually an excellent singer.
We can live beside the ocean, leave the fire behind. Swim out past the breaker, watch the world die.
Well, we're looking
Yeah, I think
really nice.
I think we're doing well. We're just looking for probe tender, and that's just falling through it like butter.
Pork time to pull off?
Time to pull the pork off. So this little one's the one you did. So we got a good bone pull.
The
we
bone looks like it's pulling nicely.
getting a good little marshmallowy, you know,
Yeah.
texture to it, and kind of see some good little fat coming out of it. So we'll wrap these and put a little tin foil on top of them. Put them
So
in the warmer.
nothing in there, just
Nothing in there.
literally in the bin.
Yep.
Little tin foil.
Yep.
Into the warmer.
Into the warmer.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, right?
All
Well,
right.
we'll see the warmer again with the briskets. But
Right,
yeah, for as far as the pork goes.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Oh, looks like you're going straight through that.
Yeah,
Is that as
that's what-
soft as it looks like it is?
Yes, it is. That's what we're looking for right there. But you can see here, like a lot of people cut this off, like this mohawk. It's still super soft. And that's where we're gonna get our burn ends from. This is still super pillowy. The point up here is still super soft. So I'm cool with go ahead and pull these and get some tallow on them and put them to rest.
All right, so butcher paper.
Butcher paper. I want this to breathe a little bit. There again, I'm not trying to shoot for that. I'm not shooting for that hard bark. I want a nice soft bark. So I want this to kind of keep doing its thing while it's resting. And so I use a butcher paper for that reason. And it,
Okay.
you know, to me, it just kind of softens the bark a little bit. In my
Okay.
opinion, it gives me the result I'm looking for with the tallow.
So that's the signature we're looking for is well-developed but softer bark.
Right, right.
Right, that mellow bark that we tasted earlier. And like, I mean, this looks like a pretty sharp, I mean,
Well, listen
so
to
it's going to have to
Yeah, but-
soften a little bit.
Yeah,
in
but
the
squeeze
rest.
it. You,
Oh,
is that hard?
that's going to be good.
See, even though it's got that little bark
Yeah.
on it, but it's like a pillow. It's pillowy soft.
So wrapping with the tallow and the butcher paper and keeping that overnight in the warmer, that should get us the rest of the way
That'll get
to
us
that
the rest of the way to where
Eastern Kentucky,
Yeah.
soft but flavorful.
Right.
So how much tallow do we need?
About 3 scoops with that spoon.
3 of these spoons,
Yep.
okay. And all right,
And
that's kind of a
that's
sorry. So you're going to
perfectly-
lift up the brisket?
Nope. You put it on top.
Putting it on top.
Putting it on top
I
of
mean,
the
I guess if we want to mellow it,
We want to like some of this. Even though it's pillowy soft, I'm not wanting this hard like
Okay.
crunchy
All right,
top.
so there's-
we'll put a little bit right here on the point. I put this on the top, and it's all this is going to render not through the brisket, but around the brisket, and end up on the bottom. It's going to sit there in this little pool of tallow, and it's going to be delicious. And that's how we do it. That's it. Now I'll
Okay.
wrap it up. I take 2 sheets. I just make a cross or X out of it. Not an X, but just a cross. And one more time. This is back on top. The tallow's right there, and if you get confused, you can feel it. The tallow's cool. It's cool.
Oh, there you
So
go.
you can feel it.
okay, so that's how it's going into the warmer like that.
And then I go one more piece across the top.
Okay.
I do 2 pieces.
Okay, so it is, let's call it midnight.
Okay.
Tomorrow morning we're back here early, right?
Right,
So we're going to maybe rest this for 9 or 10 hours.
Absolutely.
and-
Yeah, 8 hours minimum.
Okay.
Now if something happens and you have to rush it a little bit, I mean, no less than 6 to 8 hours on this.
Okay,
As far as
on
the
this.
way I do it,
Right.
I won't even serve it until it's rested at least 6 to 8 hours.
All right, so we're going to get this in the warmer,
Yep.
and then it's been a long day today.
Been a long day.
We're going to get some rest,
Absolutely.
and we'll be back here tomorrow and
Bright and early.
bright and
7
early.
a.m.
Somehow this New Yorker didn't feel out of place in a Texas pit house in Lockhart or in Fort Worth, or in a barbecue restaurant in New York City, or an Argentine restaurant in Miami, Florida. But Slade, Kentucky seems so far away from everything that's familiar to me.
Small towns like this, there's just not much. This whole area, there is just not much to do. And for most people, it is going to eat. And not trying to say, there's a lot of the same shit, but Sean's is just, man, it's how it should be. It's true grit. This ain't no heat lamp shit,
Now we're making burn ends.
Burn
so we've
ends,
got these beautiful briskets
Yep.
that we wrapped last night.
Yep.
So the underside, we've got a bark, but it is
It's
a lot less color.
It's a lot less color. There again, that style of smoker that I've
Right.
created out there, is it just hits the tops of the briskets. It doesn't really like the big 1,000-gallon smokers. All the smoke comes from the bottom up,
Right.
And this is just coming from the top down and going across the brisket. So you're not going to get that there again, that hard bottom,
Right.
This is the controversial thing, I guess,
Right.
leaving the mohawk on there. But how I usually start the briskets is so I'll actually straighten them up.
So we're just
now.
gonna take the tip.
We're just going to take the tips, just kind of You can cut a few pieces, pretty kind of thick. You know, this is the piece you want to eat anyways. You know,
Right.
So you can cut that up and eat that for yourself. See, that's pitmaster privilege. So now you just come down the side of the brisket.
Oh, interesting. So we're taking the whole side
Whole side,
there.
yeah.
So we're gonna get a lot of burnt
You're
end
gonna
out of
get
this.
quite a bit of burnt ends. Cut the point off. Just a little bit of it though. You know,
Right.
you're not trying to butcher the thing. And here for the mohawk. It depends
Okay.
on, yours is cut the same way mine is, so just come here and record.
Gonna come straight across.
Straight across. So all the pieces we cut up, just
Right.
want to keep them up in, you know, inch and a half pieces.
All right. So my mohawk is pretty thick. So should I go this way?
You can, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Each brisket's going to be different,
Right.
so you just take it as it is, and
All these years we've believed we got to cut that off because it's just going to overcook and get hard,
Right.
and that was a delicious morsel.
yeah, chuck them in a pan. We'll sauce them, put them back on the smoker, let them caramelize a little bit.
All right, let's head out to the smoker.
All right.
Put up here by the
Yeah,
firebox.
put them a long ways. Yeah, just like that. Perfect.
Okay.
So you kind of know what you're doing.
I've been around a smoker once.
Advice for Sean and Crystal is just keep it up.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what he's doing.
Just keep doing what they're doing. I mean, they're doing a fabulous job. I think they've shocked a lot of people with how well that they have done and how much of a success they've created.
I've spent a few days here learning, exploring, and cooking. Now it's time to taste what we made. I have to tell you, I was impressed. I was impressed with how moist and juicy those chickens were, burnt ends that came from parts of the brisket that I never thought about, pulled pork and brisket that had a bark that was super flavorful, but not something that would be overwhelming for people that don't really understand Texas barbecue. And of course, I was impressed by this stew, this mishmash of food that somehow comes together to a level of delicious that really can't be told in video. And somehow this food isn't the most impressive part of my trip. Sure, I learned some techniques that I didn't know, but I also learned how truly amazing some people can be. Like a coal miner seeing light at the end of his shift, Sean and Crystal Thatcher, along with their Eastern Kentucky community, are seeing light come back to their towns. The American dream is alive and well. Sometimes you just have to look somewhere you didn't expect. If this group of truly remarkable individuals can lift each other up and like a phoenix rise from the ashes, well, maybe the rest of us can too.
As long as I'm still kicking, there's going to be East Kentucky barbecue here at Slade, Kentucky at Thatcher Barbecue Company.